Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Sorry about that. We didn't finish the song because I promised you we begin on the dot at 2 p.m. and it's now 2 p.m. So thank you for coming back to join us. And we are ready to begin our afternoon session. And I think it's appropriate that we begin with a short prayer for teachers. And so this is for all of you.
A prayer for teachers. Giver of all wisdom and greatest of all teachers, look upon our teachers with love. Grant them the resolve to nurture our eager minds and to never give up on us who fall behind. Bless their hearts, for they rejoice when we succeed and encourage us when we fail. Endow them with gentle patience, for the path of learning is never easy. Kindle a spirit of passion in them. It is the flame that ignites the love of learning in us. Help them see the potential in each student. Their belief in us means much more than the grade we make. Instill in them a commitment to keep on learning. It shows us to not fear new knowledge and experiences. Inspire them to touch the future. They influence how big a dream we dream for ourselves. Bless our teachers who have come before, for their work endures to this day. Let the light of your example shine upon all teachers, to build up with their words, to love with their mind, to share with their heart. Amen.
Okay, well, I think it's also appropriate after looking at the crisis we talked about this morning of abortion, divorce, teen pregnancies, self-centeredness, vanity, etc. All these things, and I think it's appropriate that we go to Saint Joseph. You know, when the household is in a mess, who steps in to put things in order? The father. And I think this is the reason why Pope Francis had to declare this the year of Saint Joseph. And so I'd like to invite you in joining me invoking Saint Joseph's help, who is the master teacher of the master teacher. I mean, think about it. Most likely, many of the parables Jesus taught, how he dealt with people, he must have learned from his father, from Saint Joseph. And so we pray this teacher's prayer to Saint Joseph. O blessed Saint Joseph, guardian of the child Jesus, we pray that you will help us in our daily troubles and tribulations as we try to pass on to our students all the teachings that they need to be able to succeed in their chosen professions. Help us to teach and help them to learn. Guide us all as you guided your most holy Son, Jesus. Obtain for us the graces we need, not only to teach and to learn, but to stay on the path shown by the light of Christ. Amen. Okay, today, now, I mean, this afternoon, we're going to talk about creating a kind and caring classroom. This morning, we talked about the urgency of character formation, and it's urgent kasi nakita natin, ay grabe na pala ang mga henerasyon ng mga kabataan ngayon. Ibang klase na, no? Ibang klase na ang mindset, ibang klase na ang attitude, ang outlook. And now, sabi natin kanina, one of the effects of this digital lifestyle that the young people have is the failure of empathy, the decline in empathy. Tapos, pag nawala ang empathy, a consequence of that is unkindness, bullying, which is happening all over well, not just the Philippines, but all over the world in many classrooms. And ibang klase na ang bullying ng mga kabataan ngayon. So, one way of approaching that is kailangan proactive tayo. Let us put in place systems, strategies even, so that ang ating classroom, ang ating eskwelahan, is a kind and caring classroom. Sabi ni Albert Einstein, try not to become a man or woman of success, but rather try to become a man or woman of value. And paulit-ulit nating binigay yung idea na yung kaninang umaga. Ang teachers are not just there to produce smart students. We are here to produce especially good people, men and women of character, the young people entrusted to us. Okay? That's the expression I prefer to use. Hindi ka binibigyan ng subjects to teach. Binibigyan ka ng mga estudyante para sila'y turuan at palakihing maging men and women of character. That's the outlook, that's the mindset of a teacher of character. And binanggit natin kanina, napakahalaga nito, especially because meron tayong tinatawag na crisis in character. Sabi ni Dr. Borba in one of her books, while we may be producing a smart, self-assured generation of young people, ang mga kabataan ngayon in record in the history of mankind are also the most self-centered and stressed out on record. It's unbelievable, pero meron tayong mababasang mga research tungkol sa the overstressed child. Aba, bata pa lang, meron nagrereklamo na siya na she is stressed out. Bakit ganon? Well, in many families, nakikita ko rin to in my 34 years inside the classroom. Marami akong mga estudyante sa Southridge, sa Northfield, sa Bannister Academy. These are some of the high schools na tinuruan ko sa Westbridge. Yung bang after dismissal, pagkatapos ng dismissal, abay hindi pa tapos ang araw sa kanila. Yung iba pupunta pa sa common math. Yung iba sa tutorial center. Yung iba sa, wala naman yun nung bata ako. Dati pagka-dismissal, laro na. Time to play. Go with your friends. Go out into the streets and play. Yun na yun. Pero aba, ngayon, pag weekend, may piano lesson. May varsity team. So, sabi ng research, the most self-centered and stressed out on record among the young people. Tapos this morning, pinag-usapan natin yung culture of hate. Being subjected to a lot of images of bullying, of violence, of dinadala nila ito sa loob ng classroom. Kaya ngayon, nakikita ko sa mga private schools especially, ibang klase na ang bullying ngayon. Very sophisticated. Tapos ngayon, kailangan pambigyan ng seminars ang mga teachers tungkol sa cyberbullying, which is another totally different world of hatred and, well, again, the absence of empathy. Katumbas, okay, pinag-usapan din natin kaninang umaga, we have to talk about our values. Kasi yung kabaligtaran ng ating mga paniniwala, those that we value, like chastity, purity, modesty, like good language, respect, responsibility, the opposite of all those things, yun yung naririnig ng mga kabataan sa many top songs. You go to Spotify, tapos punta ka sa global charts, the top songs in the world. And then, marami doon, almost half of the top 20 songs may nakasulat explicit lyrics. Because the words are about either sex or there is profanity, there is bad language, there is foul language. Ito, ang what the young people are immersed in. Ito ang kanilang naririnig, nakikita at napapanood. So, if we don't speak up and talk about our values, talo tayo by default kasi ang lakas ng media, ang lakas ng digital media, social media, and then nandyan yung thrill of viral bashing. No? Nabanggit ko sa inyo kanina yung tungkol kay Joaquin Montes. 'Di ba? Nabulabog tayo noon nung nabulabog tayo one December morning. I think that was December 23, 2 years ago, tungkol sa Ateneo High School boy bullying. Okay, yeah, we all condemn bullying. Pero you look at those posts, tapos thousands of comments from people. May mga magsusulat, Joaquin Montes, wag kang pupunta dito sa eskwelahan namin, papatayin kita. Ah, who gave you the right to talk like that? Or worse, somebody would say there, uh, sana mamatay na kayong buong pamilya mo. Ah, what is that? I mean, who gave you the right to destroy the reputation of the person? Sure, we don't approve of bullying. We condemn it. But uh, meron ba tayong karapatan para magsulat ng mga ganong klase? And will you actually say that face to face pag nakita mo talaga si Joaquin Montes? Sasabihin mo ba yon sa kanya face to face? No. Chances are 95% of those people, hindi nila sasabihin yung kanilang pinost against the people they are bashing. Oh, bakit mo sinulat? Researchers describe that as the anonymity of the screen. Ayan. There is a certain mindset na anonymity of the screen. Na pag pinost mo doon, hindi siya makakaganti sa iyo eh. And you are just one of the, I don't know, 10,000 comments. And you think it will be buried anyway. And after all, habulin niya ako? Habulin niya ang 9,900 others. So, the anonymity of the screen that makes people post things na hindi naman nila kayang sabihin face to face to the person. These things, nagko-contribute itong lahat ito to creating a certain culture of hatred, anger, bashing, put-downs, bullying. Now more than ever, we need a kind and caring world. We need to counter this by first, gawa tayo ng classroom, ng eskwelahan that is kind and caring, and train these young people to go out there and spread the good news of kindness and of caring. First in their families, in their communities, and then in society in general. Because itong self-absorption epidemic, and kahit kayo makikita ninyo to, kain kayo sa restaurant, may isang buong pamilya in one table, nag-uusap ba sila? Kahit, let's say, nung pre-pandemic, nag-uusap ba sila? Ay, hindi. Each to his own gadget. Nag-eat out pa kayo. Asa ng community dyan? Asa ng family bonding dyan? Everyone is absorbed with his own screen. Lahat ito ang nagko-contribute to creating ang tinatawag natin na crisis in character, crisis in kindness, in the respect, in caring, in empathy. Teens, sabi ng research, are now 40% lower in empathy levels compared to 30 years ago. And in the same period, narcissism has increased 58%. And this is, actually, itong research na to is pre-Instagram likes and hearts culture. Di ba may mga ganyang kabataan ngayon, parang ini-equate nila ang kanilang worth, ang kanilang kahalagahan sa dami ng followers, sa dami ng likes, sa dami ng hearts. So, kung pupunta ka sa TikTok, makikita mo ron, follow me and I'll follow back. Ayan, di ba? O kaya yung ang daming nagsusulat doon, pa-notice naman with a video. Ayan. And If you don't receive yung ganyang klaseng comment, ay parang wala kang followers, wala kang ano. So, and people are counting. Road to 1 million likes. Yan. They celebrate it. Road to 10,000 followers in YouTube, in TikTok, in Facebook, in Twitter, in Instagram. So, parang ang nagiging kultura is ganun, ano? I'm worthy. I have arrived kung ganito karami ang aking followers. And minsan hindi ko rin maintindihan, ano? Meron akong mga estudyante, magpo-post sa Facebook ng senseless, walang saysay. Abay, ang daming nagla-like, ang daming nagko-comment, ang daming nag-heart. Tapos mag-a-announce ako sa klase ko, hey guys, reminder about the exam. Aba, sin zoned. I mean, isa lang ang magla-like. Tapos parang if I base my self-worth on the number of likes, I have reasons to be depressed and to even think of nobody likes me, nobody loves me, everybody hates me, papakamatay na ako. I mean, and this is also at the root of the rise in cases of depression and cases of suicide. I mean, they came together side by side. Itong social media mindset of likes and followers and then suicide. Not to mention, of course, suicide brought about by kasi they were victims of bullying because they they have a video that pinadala nila sa kanilang boyfriend, girlfriend. Tapos nag-break sila. And then the boyfriend uses now that video to threaten the girl. And this case I'm talking about, I have heard of at least 5 cases. And 2 of them nauwi sa suicide. Videos being inappropriate videos, scandal videos. In the first place, iisipin mo, then bakit? Why did you take a video of that? Napaka-inappropriate. Alam mo yan. Ang kala mo yung relasyon nyo forever. Ay, walang forever. So, ito ang nangyayari sa kultura ng mga bata na whose life centers on technology, gadget, social media, the digital lifestyle. All these may kinalaman. So, we need to repair these things. The crisis in character, naghahanap ako, saan ko papaayos ito? Nakakita ako nitong signboard. Baka naman kaya ni Mr. B-Boy Alulod ayusin itong Philippine society, itong mindset, itong something is just wrong with this kind of character. Pero wala, meron siyang washing machine, refrigerator, electric. So, naghanap ako. Another one who might be able to fix this, si Aling Tinay na manghihilot. Ayan. Nakita ko ang kanyang signboard. Baka naman kaya niyang ayusin itong character na to. Kulamin ng chismosa, 2,000 pesos. Gayumahin ng babae. Special discount pa. Uy, may chat pa sa kaluluwa. 5 minutes. May only chat sa kaluluwa. Pero hindi. I realize hindi kaya rin ni Aling Tinay ayusin itong problema na to. Itong crisis in society. And then I realized I'm talking to the people who are in a position to fix this. This is a crisis of character, and this is a crisis of character formation. Who's in charge of that? The parents, and we, the teachers, the schools. And so let's do it. Let's teach for character. In the US, mas malala ang kanilang problema, no? Kasi meron pa silang shooting cases of 2 bullied boys coming to campus and killing people. The Columbine massacre, the Virginia Tech shooting, ang dami. Almost every month, every so often, makakabasa ka ng tungkol sa shooting in campus. And then, you study the cases. Kasi itong murderer, itong criminal, victim of bullying. That's the case of Klebold and the other guy in Columbine massacre. No, they discovered that, well, these two boys were victims of bullying, and so their shooting spree. They went to the they went to the canteen and started shooting as many people. Nung wala nang mapapatay, they went to the next most crowded room, the library, and started shooting. Well, they discovered that they were victims of bullying. So in the US, ganito ang response nila to the situation. Uh, they put CCTV. Ayan, di ba? Management will say, paano natin kaya matitigil itong bullying? Let's set up CCTV, these sophisticated cameras in the campus. Hulihin natin yung mga cheater, yung mga bullies, yung mga... That's the response. And natatawa tayo, pero kahit sa Pilipinas, many schools are already resorting to the same solution. Install CCTV cameras. Worse, yung ibang campus sa US, and we also have some universities, ginagawa na rin nila dito yan, install metal detectors. Para bang that's their solution to this problem, the crisis in character. Unfortunately, some parents, ang iniisip nila, ay bakit ko i-enroll ang anak ko para lang mabully? Dito na lang siya sa bahay. Ako na lang magtuturo sa kanya. Anyway, napatunayan in fact ng pandemic, lahat ng kailangan pag-aralan ng mga bata, abay nasa internet na. Ba't pa ako pupunta ng eskwelahan? Dito ka na lang iho sa bahay. Tapos handa na lang tayo para sa DepEd placement exam. This is how people are responding to the crisis. Pero hindi, that's not the solution. That's not the solution. The solution is, let's make our schools kind and caring places, safe places. Let's teach young people empathy. Let's teach them kindness and caring. So, sabi nitong what works and doesn't work in bullying prevention, kailangan daw lahat tayo sama-sama dito. The work of creating a kind and caring school. Kailangan pati yung security guard, yung the lady selling in the cafeteria, yung the gardener, lahat sila sa loob ng campus dapat sama-sama, tulong-tulong in creating a whole new climate, a climate of kindness, caring. Research says student achievement increases when students feel comfortable in their learning environment. They want a safe space. They want a safe school. No one wants to be in a place na natatakot ka na ikaw ang magiging susunod na biktima. In fact, sabi ng research, people are affected by bullying even if they just observe it. Okay, I'll repeat that. People are deeply affected by bullying even if hindi sila ang biktima, na witness lang nila. Their grades get affected too, sabi ng research. Yung performance nila get affected too, can get affected also, kahit na witness lang nila ang bullying, even if hindi sila ang biktima. So, let us make our schools kind and caring places by first starting with our classroom, and it can be done. We're going to take a look at some strategies, even scientific studies made by Dr. Licona on how to create a kind and caring campus school. Kindness. Hindi lang ito para sa primary school or basic education. Kailangan din to as a reminder in college, in the universities, in technical schools. We have heard of students in the universities na either nag-isip sila about suicide or actually committed suicide because of their experience of bullying, not from classmates, but from the professor, from the teacher. It has happened. So, effects of crisis in empathy. It hurts students' academic performance. leads to bullying behaviors. There is more cheating. There is less resilience. They have the inability to collaborate, inability to innovate, inability to problem solving. These are, according to scientific studies, ang mga epekto pagka walang empathy, pagka um, walang caring, walang kindness, walang that culture of support and helping. Okay, so that's the power of kindness. So we want to win this war. This is a serious war that is happening now. The war against death of empathy and the war for kindness and empathy and caring to prevail. And we have a strategy. This is the 12-point plan of Dr. Tom Licona. Merong school-wide strategies, tapos may classroom strategies for us to create a kind and caring classroom. Okay, we're not going to go over each one of them, but we will go to some key points. And then, parang yung kaninang umaga, the whole slide presentation will be available. By the way, nakapost na rin sa Facebook yung link to the recorded video of this morning's presentation. Ano? So, kung hindi pa kayo nakapunta dun sa Facebook page na yon, Schools of Character, then I suggest you look for it, join the group, and download as many books, reading materials, PowerPoint presentations as you want or as you need from that page. Okay, kaninang umaga binanggit ko si Hal Urban, the writer of Lessons from the Classroom, 20 Things Good Teachers Do. Ito ang kanyang daily four. Ginagawa niya sa loob ng classroom niya every day, four things. Or minsan, he chooses one of them and then makes sure he spends time, a minute or two, inside the classroom to create a kind and caring atmosphere. So, daily four niya. Number one, share good news. Face a partner. I'll give you 1 minute. Share a good news with the person. Take turns in sharing any good news. Good news sa bahay, good news sa studies mo, good news na nabasa mo, good news in the world, whatever it is. 1 minute. Another exercise. Tell about someone or something you are grateful for. Get a partner, take turns, 1 minute each. Tell that person about someone or something you're grateful for. Yung masaya ka na gusto mong magpasalamat, gusto mong pasalamatan. Number three, affirm someone in class. Um, Binanggit natin yung kaninang don't just look for the wrong things that people do. Yan. Um, Praise good actions. That is a way of encouraging, reinforcing good deeds and good character. And the number four, make us laugh. Prepare a joke which should be clean. And it changes the atmosphere totally. Think about it pagka ang klase mo nagsa-start, okay, we usually start with a prayer. And then after that, 1 minute, face a partner, share a good, that totally changes the atmosphere. Ibang-iba na hindi yung parang takot na takot ang mga bata sa loob ng classroom. Well, that's more of the better classroom management session. When we talk about that, we will be discussing that as one of the topics on making sure that we do not create a classroom driven by fear or threats or terror. I mean, there is such a thing as terror teachers. We cannot afford to have anything like that. So, Hal Urban talks about the daily four as a deliberate, systematic way to create a good atmosphere, welcoming atmosphere. So, we didn't have time kanina para pag-usapan yung mga strategies ni Hal Urban. And so I'd like to start right away with this. Yung unang strategy for him to be able to form character of his students. And then it's very much related to be able to create a kind and caring classroom. Itong unang strategy na ibibigay ko sa inyo from Hal Urban, natutunan niya on the last day of his first year as a teacher. Okay? He taught for more than 20 years in school in the US. On the last day of his first year as a teacher, andito ngayon ang mga estudyante nagsasubmit ng kanilang final paper. And then here came a girl, isang babae na nagsasubmit na niyang kanyang papel kay Hal Urban, and at that moment, naisip ni Hal, na-realize niya, teka muna, I don't remember talking to this girl. I don't even remember kung ano ang tunog ng boses niya. I don't even remember actually interacting with her. And at that moment, sumama ang loob ni Hal Urban. He felt 1 year, 10 months kami nagsama nitong taong to. Hindi ko siya trinato na parang tao. Trinato ko siya na parang class number lamang. Tama yung expression. For education to be effective, it must be personal. At that moment, na-realize ni Hal Urban, hindi personal ang pagturo ko dito sa babaeng ito. She was just one of the faces in the crowd. just a class number. He felt so bad, he decided at that moment, from here on, I will do this first strategy that I'm going to share with you that he shared in his book, 20 Things Good Teachers Do. Sabi niya, I will welcome my students to the classroom every day, treating them with respect and making them feel important by shaking their hands as they enter the classroom. Every day, every meeting, I will welcome them to my class with a handshake. And he did that up to the time that he retired. And 20 years later, 25 years later, he would meet his students and this is what they will remember of him. Ito ang maalala ng mga estudyante niya. The teacher who treated them as human beings, not as class numbers, not as just one more face in the classroom. Tama si George Isaac Brown. Never let the demands of your job cause you to forget that each one of your students is a feeling, thinking human being. For education to be effective, it must be personal. That's from George Isaac Brown. And John Dewey says, the deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important. So, every day, as students enter this classroom, he would welcome them each one by one with a handshake. Now, alam ko, some of you are already thinking, handshake, Mr. Antoy, hindi naman yata Filipino culture yan. Okay, so anong gusto mo? Mano po? Go ahead. Mano po. In fact, in the case of Hal Urban, at a certain point, some people, some students, mas prefer nila yung fist bump. Okay, fist bump to welcome them. Some others, they prefer a high five. Okay, high five to welcome them to the classroom. Some others prefer a hug kasi they never get a hug from in the house or wherever, anywhere else. Now, again, I repeat, some of us are thinking, hindi Pilipino yan. Hindi yan bagay sa atin. At saka ang dami kong estudyante, Mr. Antoy. Okay, so what do you want to do? To give everyone an eye contact as your way of treating them with kindness, as a way of welcoming them to the classroom, then go ahead, do it. Or like what one teacher did, hindi niya kayang gawin yun. So, nag-assign siya. Every day, may isang estudyante in charge of doing the welcoming to the classroom. But here, John Dewey is correct. The deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important. Ang ating mga estudyante ay hindi lamang class numbers, ay hindi lamang mga muka in the sea of faces. With that eye contact, with a shaking of hands, and smiling, sabi ni Hal Urban. In the beginning, nung inumpisahan niya to, many students, hindi sila marunong mag-handshake. Minsan daw pag handshake niya, parang ang hinahawakan niya, parang yung patay na isda, walang buhay. Until they realize the proper way of shaking hands, looking at the eyes and smiling and firm. And many of them will go on to become professionals and they know how to meet people with a handshake, with a smile, with an eye contact. They learned from Hal Urban's example, one of the most basic GMRC. And Hal Urban didn't have to give a lecture about it. He showed them what it means to treat people with respect, with kindness.
Good morning, Ashervilles.
So, And what works for you, I don't know. Find it out. But the principle there is, bawat isang estudyante natin na pumapasok ng ating classroom, hindi lang yan class number. It's a thinking, feeling human being who wants to belong, who wants attention, who wants to be treated as such, as a human being, not as a class number, not as just one more face in the crowd. Second thing that he said he learned to do, and the most important thing that he did as a teacher, tinuro niya sa mga estudyante niya ang manners and golden rule. Tinuruan niya ang mga estudyante niya how to deal with the ladies in the cafeteria, for example, with respect. How to deal with the ordinary people, especially those who are lower than us. Sabi nila, di ba? That's how, diyan mo madidiscover kung ano ang character ng isang tao. Paano niya tratuhin yung mga tao who are lower than him, under him. How he treats them will show you the kind of character the person has. So, kaninang umaga, pinag-usapan natin ang golden rule, and that's Hal Urban. Make sure you talk about manners and the golden rule. That's a strategy from Hal Urban. Because if manners were an animal, it would be an endangered species, Henry Rogers said. Lalo na ngayon, with the kind of parang kultura ng mga kabataan. In the case of bullying, for example, no one will admit na it's bullying. They will say, ganyan lang kami talaga sa magtawagan. Hindi yan bullying. Ganun lang kami talaga yung tropa, ganun lang talaga kami mag-usap. Yung ganun lang talaga kami magtrato sa isa't isa. Pero bro yan, may kami. No, we have to teach them the proper way, the right way of dealing with people, with manners. Okay, ganito ang first day strategy ni Hal Urban. On day 1, sa classroom, he will ask the students, class, anong klaseng classroom ang ayaw ninyo? What kind of classroom? What kind of class ang hindi nyo gusto? Magtataasan ng kamay yan. Magsasabi sila, rude classmates, inconsiderate classmates, disrespectful classmates. Sulat mo lahat yun sa isang side of the board. One side of the board. Write them all down. Offensive, whatever it is. And then, after having a list there, you ask the question, okay, ngayon, ano naman ang classroom na gusto nyo? This is day 1. This is after introducing yourself, perhaps mentioning some of the basic rules inside the classroom, and then nasa stage na tayo ng, okay, getting to know you, getting to know the teacher, then this is a good exercise to do. So, let them describe yung classroom na ayaw nila. One side of the board, listahan. Ang classroom na gusto nila, people will raise hand. We want courteous classmates, considerate classmate, and teacher also. Respectful, everyone, teachers, students, staff, polite, ayan. So, sulat mo lahat yon sa one side of the board. And then, after having those 2 lists, okay, galing sa inyo to class, hindi ito sa akin, can we now commit ourselves? Kasi sabi nyo ayaw nyo itong ganitong classroom. Can we now commit ourselves? Now, we will prohibit these things. Rudeness, inconsiderateness, disrespectful, lahat yan. We will commit ourselves na hindi natin papayagan yan sa classroom. And then, can we commit ourselves that we will foster courtesy, considerateness, respect, politeness, etc. Galing sa inyo yan, hindi yan galing sa akin. And those 2 things now can end up on 2 posters. Yung isa on one side, yung isa on the other side. Next time around, na may marinig kang estudyante being rude or inconsiderate, no need to say anything. It's enough to say, John, and then point to the poster. which already says everything. John, didn't we commit ourselves that we will not allow those because you said you did not want a classroom that is like that? But you don't have to say any of those things. It's enough to call the name John and point to the poster. And that says everything. And that is good classroom management when you can discipline them without even having to say anything except the name, Joanna, and then you point to the poster that says no disrespect, no offensive words. Then you start creating an atmosphere. Tapos malalaman ng mga estudyante, for you as a teacher, it matters. Kay ma'am, it matters na ganito ang atmosphere ng ating classroom. Kaya gustong-gusto ko dyan sa klase ni ma'am. Gustong-gusto ko dyan sa klase ni sir. Kasi you can be sure there is kindness, there is caring, there is no discourtesy, there is no inconsiderateness. Concern siya sa atmosphere. Okay, so yung 12-point plan, kanina na pinakita ko sa inyo, comprehensive character education. Big idea number 1. A high-quality, comprehensive approach to character education is the most effective way to develop caring classrooms and schools and effectively reduce bullying. High-quality, comprehensive approach. Ito yon. Okay? It's an ethical learning community, character-based discipline, democratic classroom environment, teaching character to the curriculum. There is cooperative learning, conscience of craft, ethical reflection, teaching the students conflict resolution, and the teacher as caregiver, model, and mentor. And then merong beyond the classroom, may school-wide strategies, schools, parents, and communities as partners, creating a culture of excellence and ethics. When you have all these things in place, then you become a smart and good high school. Yung mga sa iba sa inyo, nakita ko nagpunta na sa Facebook page to be admitted. And scroll down a bit, one of the first books na makikita nyo doon is that book of Dr. Thomas Licona, Smart and Good High Schools. And he explains this also in detail, each one with strategies from schools that have applied them. Okay, so the 12-point comprehensive approach to character education, 1 is intentional. Hindi ito chamba-chamba lang na magiging school of character ka, na magiging smart and good school ka. This has to be intentional from the first, from the beginning, yung officers in partnership with, in cooperation with all the teachers and the non-teaching staff, the non-academic staff, we will all intentionally work hard to create a school of character, a smart and good high school. And it has to cover every phase of school and classroom life. Well, he's talking about private schools na meron pa silang school bus. Dapat meron na dun kagad strategies to be used sa loob ng school bus. In the cafeteria, in the PE field, in the sports field, in the lahat ng aspect of school life will have to be covered by this comprehensive approach to character education. School climate matters. Bullying is strongly related to overall school climate. Bullying decreases when the school climate improves. And pag merong boses ang mga estudyante at ginawa silang partners, responsible people also. Hindi pwedeng sila lang ang recipient. They have to own this task of creating a healthy climate in the school. So, dapat meron din silang responsibility. And we're going to take a look at, sige nga, paano natin gagawin yan? There's one seminar na attendan ko sa US, sabi nung speaker, sa dinami-dami ng narinig ninyong strategies, kung isa lang ang iuuwi ninyo, let it be this: meetings, class meetings. You have to hold class meetings, which is a way of giving students a voice, and at the same time, responsibility. They will own the task of naghahanap ng solution sa problema, kahit anong problema pa na meron dyan sa kanilang subject, sa kanilang classroom, sa kanilang teachers, sa eskwelahan. But in detail, we will tackle that in the session on class advisory because class meetings, that's supposed to be done by the class advisors. Okay? Pero kailangan isipin natin to. Kailangan tanggapin natin na it's in our hands. We can do it. We are the ones in a position to create the kind of atmosphere. There should understand the text, but the message, napakalinaw uh, napakalinaw ng mensahe para sa atin, especially para sa ating mga teachers na dealing with all different kinds of young people. Okay, ang ginawa ni Dr. Licona, pinag-aralan nila, they looked at programs available to prevent bullying. And ito ang kanilang nadiskubre. They analyzed 44 bully prevention programs and less than half of them were effective. And classroom curricula alone, hindi yan tutulong sa pag-reduce ng bullying. You need to do more than just taking care of the curriculum. And yung mga effective programs, ito ang kanilang nakita. Those effective programs work to create a school climate where bullying is socially unacceptable. They're effective. And then, they enlisted the support of the whole community. Nabanggit natin yan kanina. Hindi pwedeng isang teacher lang ang nagcha-champion ng bully prevention. Hindi pwedeng principal lang, director lang, or yung supervisor lang. It has to be everyone getting involved. And in the first place, admitting or accepting na kailangan natin ito to prevent bullying. And then they saw increased supervision of playground and other areas is another contribution or it contributory to the effectiveness of the program. Number 4, na dapat, sabi nila, may firm sanctions for bullying. Hindi lang siya nire-reject, but there are even consequences. Pagka ang isang estudyante na proven to be guilty of bullying. And the number 5, use ongoing messages to help students recognize aggression and support and stick up for victims. You see, hindi pwedeng ang kailangan lang gawin is yung to prevent bullying is punish the bullies. Ay hindi, kailangan din tulungan ang bystanders. Equip them. Kailangan silang tulungan para malaman nila kung paano tumulong to step in, to step up, and to stand up to bullies. They also have to be taught. Well, we are talking about bullying because the complete opposite of a kind and caring classroom is precisely bullying. So, one of the most effective programs is Always Use program, bully prevention program. And this is what they did. Study of 18,000 students. After 2 years of implementation, only 22%. Ano na to? Ito na ang isa sa mga pinaka-effective. And yet, they only managed to reduce by 22% the reports of bullying, of being verbally bullied, and then 23% of physically bullied. Pero ang problema, paano ngayon yung 78 and 77%? That's what Tom Licona was interested in. That's why he came up with this whole program. How to address yung kulang na 80% effectiveness. Answer, a comprehensive character education program that not only seeks to suppress the negative behavior, but also to promote its psychological opposites. So, the 6 R's of prevention, bully prevention, hindi lang reject, kailangang i-replace. Those are two of the 6 R's. We will tackle them. They are from Michelle Borba. Okay? So, sabi ng Dr. Licona's study, for the program to be effective, kailangan comprehensive, including everyone, including all levels, including all places. Big idea number 2, dapat may 3 parts ang ating campaign for character, for virtue, for kindness, for caring, knowing, feeling, and behavior. Habits of the mind, habits of the heart, habits of behavior. In other words, for the person to be known as merong good character, aba, hindi lang pwedeng alam niya. Kailangan nasa puso niya at kailangan ginagawa niya. That is when it becomes good character. And in many places, nakikita ko to in some schools na nabisita ko na at nabigyan ng seminar. Aba, ang tatalino nga ng mga bata, tinuturuan sila in principle, pero if there is no feeling it in the heart and showing it with your hands, it's just knowledge. And it's not effective and it's incomplete. Hindi siya, well, um, short of saying it's going to fail. Hindi niya makakayanang talunin ang bullying, ang problema of lack of empathy. So, binanggit ko rin ito kaninang umaga, si James Tenson. Young people develop character by what they see, what they hear, and what they are repeatedly led to do. Kaya directed practice is the most important part. So, yung poster strategy kanina ni Hal Urban, negative school climate or classroom climate, and then positive school climate, and then pointing to the poster every time. This is part of James Tenson's strategy naman to make the young people see, hear, and repeatedly led to do. Okay? Kailangan ang program ay practical, hindi lang poster, hindi lang talks, hindi lang yung class advisor giving a pep talk about it. Aba, kailangan meron ding feeling it and doing it. And then big idea number 3, moral virtues and performance virtues. This one is specifically from Tom Licona, and he explained this in detail in yung libro na yon na sinasabi ko sa inyo that is now ready for downloading in the Facebook page. Performance character, moral character. Those two going together and you have good character. So just taking a look at this list of virtues under performance character and under moral character or ethical character, you will have an idea of a combination of two is the only way to be able to bring about good character formation, good character in a person. Okay? I want us to go straight to strategies because that is, well, that is what we are here for. We want to be able to take a look at concrete strategies na pwede nating gawin inside the classroom, inside our school, so that we are able to create a kind and caring classroom. Sabi ko kanina, may problema ang bullying leading to suicide, and I'm not just talking of US cases. Nasa Pilipinas na rin ito. We also have cases like this. Students thinking of suicide kasi bullied siya. Or even worse, meron kang, yan, so another case in Batangas, bullying blamed for Batangas teenagers' suicide. And this is local news, hindi ito US. And then, because of this pandemic, makakabasa ka pa ng mga ganitong klaseng balita, although this is long ago. No? Ito, 2020. Filipino boy kills himself over online learning. I mean, meron tayong concern about um, how do you call that, mental health issues na we as teachers should be wary about. Okay, how Tom Licona talks about, sige nga, how can we make our program successful? Kahit anong strategies ang gamitin natin against bullying, here are the three secrets of success if you want it to be successful. Staff involvement, student involvement, and parent involvement. And then we're going to go into, sige nga, paano natin i-involve ang lahat ng staff, including non-academic staff, including the non-teaching staff. Because sila rin, kailangan kasama sila dito sa um, paglaganap ng kind and caring atmosphere in our school. Sabi ni Heschel, when I was young, I used to admire intelligent people. As I grow older, I admire kind people. Okay, so how to get the staff involved? And it's in the chapter 11 of another book of Tom Licona called Character Matters, a landmark book. It's because of this book na maraming experts ngayon in the field of character formation decided to enter the field, decided to study more deeply things related to character formation. Character Matters by Dr. Thomas Licona. Here is his first strategy. Create a touchstone. Ano yung touchstone? Yan yung school's mission and vision. Yan yung core values. And then, craft it in such a way na you can post it in a tarpaulin, in the welcome corridor, even on stickers that you can find on every corner, on every desk. Lahat ng teachers may kopya nun. It's printed sa faculty manual, sa student's handbook, a touchstone. Develop a school touchstone or way. In many cases, it is already the school's mission vision, what we stand for as a school. But even better, sabi ni Tom Licona, is if you involve everyone in crafting a touchstone, like this is how we live dito sa eskwelahan namin. Ito ang aming paniniwala sa aming eskwelahan. Where you talk about the core values or the school's mission vision. Ito ang isang halimbawa sa isang eskwelahan crafted by the teachers, administrators, with some parents getting involved, or maybe not involved in crafting, pero sinabihan sila. They were made to sign a document indicating na nabasa nila and they comply and they abide by this credo or touchstone. So ito halimbawa ang sa Northridge. This is not a PAREF school. It's a school in the US. At Northridge School, we pursue excellence in scholarship and character. We celebrate and honor each other by being respectful, honest, kind, and fair. We give our best inside and outside the classroom. This is who we are, even when no one is watching. Yan ang kanilang touchstone. In Southridge, paulit-ulit namin yon sa mga student assemblies. Every Monday, every Friday, we would raise our right hand and recite the long pledge, the long oath of a Southridge gentleman. I am a Southridge gentleman, and I dedicate myself to our mission of strengthening the family and of forming people according to the Christian ideals, to be pious and sporting in spirit, to hone myself in the sciences and in the arts, to equip myself with leadership and interpersonal skills, etc., etc. And we memorize it. I mean, after repeating it almost every day or almost every other day, talagang mamememorize mo. And tama si James Tenson. The young people uh, practice virtues according to how they are repeatedly led to do it, repeatedly made to do it. And I'm not exaggerating. Minsan, in life, making a decision, babalik sa isipan ko, I committed myself to help, to serve others, especially the needy, to have zest for learning and virtue, driven by a personal vision of my role in the community, stemming from the love of God and the sense of responsibility for the gifts I have received. Yan. So, um, sinabi namin yon, pledge namin. That is the Southridge way. And it's supposed to have guided us in the way we live our life. Here's another example, the Roosevelt way, another school in the US. There's a way that students here are expected to act and a way that they are expected not to act. Yun lang. Pero may expectation. So, with this, lahat ng, the whole community will be able to see it. It's posted, it's displayed, it's printed, it's stickered there, and everyone has a copy of it. And even better, people recite it often enough. It's visible. The touchstone is displayed in all classrooms and included in all documents. Academics, teachers, maghahanap sila ng paraan na ipapasok ang touchstone, ang core values. Students sa literature, sa panitikan, hahanap sila, paano mo maipapasok itong core value na to of honesty, of loyalty, of kindness sa discussion natin dito sa lesson na to. So, in the crafting of lesson plans or unit plans, pwede pang ipasok doon how to bring out the core values of the school. That becomes a touchstone. And with that visibility, that involves everybody in school. And the staff referred to the touchstone when disciplining. John, I'm sorry, but you already have to serve the tension because yung offense na ginawa mo is directly against our core values, and it's written in the student's handbook, etc. So, hindi lang, it's not just a matter of punishing, it's a matter of making them realize, uy, teka muna, these are our core values. Ito ang what the school stands for. And you are expected to live by this. And then, to make sure that the touchstone is effective, there should be an effective orientation of new students and even more so, new teachers. Lahat ng mga bagong estudyante na papasok ng eskwelahan natin, lahat ng mga bagong teachers na papasok sa eskwelahan natin, they have to know, this is how we do things here. Ito ang ating paniniwala. Ito ang ating core values. And therefore, that must be part of the ongoing professional development of everyone involved in the school, teaching and non-teaching staff. So I'll show you some pictures of how even exaggeratedly classrooms all over the world will have to use lahat ng kanilang ipapasok sa decoration, bulletin boards, announcements, in order to create a kind and caring classroom. Of course, we are all thinking, ay hindi yan applicable sa aming situation. Okay, pero yung prinsipyo na it is visible, it is alive, and everyone is concerned na itong touchstone na to, itong core values na to, are really visible, and it's talked about, that we are all driven by the core values. That principle has to be there. Then it becomes, sorry, we will not watch that. Then that principle becomes effective. Okay, second secret of success, student involvement. How to get students involved? Well, 20 kinds of class meetings. Sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, one speaker in the US said, if there is only one strategy you'll bring home, please let it be this. Make sure meron kayong class meetings. Make the class involved in finding solutions to problems, for example. So, kaya meron siya ritong 20 different kinds of class meetings na pwede mong gawin. Kasi ang iniisip natin, especially for class advisors, ay, class meetings, ang class meeting ko lang naman, okay, reply slips. Make sure your parents sign this memo, that they receive this letter, and then we collect. Ganyan. No, there is more to class advisory than simply collecting reply slips, checking attendance. We have to do class meetings because in class meetings, doon natin nabibigyan ng boses ang mga estudyante and doon natin maipapasa sa kanila. They have to own the problems. Class, what is a problem that you see na kailangan nating pagtuunan ng pansin, na kailangan nating pag-usapan? So, here are 20 different types of class meetings. Yung circle whip is you give a chance to everyone. Each one is asked to, for example, complete a sentence like this. Something I like about this class. And then lahat ng mga estudyante given 15 seconds each to complete the sentence. Or something I think would make our class better. Okay? You're asking everyone to contribute what could be a suggestion that you have to make our class better. Or there is a problem and we need to make a decision on this, and then you make them complete it without putting down anyone, without immediately saying that's irrelevant, that's not important. No, just give a voice to everyone. Lahat ng mga estudyante dapat bibigyan ng pagkakataon to complete the sentence, to contribute their thoughts, their ideas. I'm wondering why, and then let them complete. Something that bothers me is this. I wish. So, in a meeting like that, circle whip. Like, the idea is you form them into a circle, and then everyone is going to be given a chance to speak and complete the sentence. But even if you don't do it in a circle, you can even do it online, getting everyone to contribute and finish the sentence. And that is how we are able to come out with, ay, hindi ko alam, iniisip na pala nila to. Hindi ko alam, pinoproblema pala nila itong bagay na to. And it's very revealing. It can be very revealing. Appreciation time, compliment time, goal-setting meeting, which normally happens sa pagbukas ng school year. That's one of the first things na ginagawa natin sa klase. Let's set goals. 0 absence, 0 tardiness. That will be our goal. And we have to come up with plans kung paano natin ma-achieve yung goal na yan. 6 to 10, rule setting meeting, rule evaluating meeting, stage setting meeting, feedback and evaluation, reflections on learning. Number 11 to 15, student presentation, problem-solving meeting, academic issues meeting, classroom improvement meeting, follow-up meeting on one of the past meetings we've had. Ang dami, ano? And then you start thinking, ay oo nga, hindi ko lang talaga nabigyan ng pagkakataon ang mga estudyante to contribute, to express themselves, to have a voice. Or, lahat ng problema, inako ko, ako lang ang nag-iisip ng solusyon. When really, dapat pinag-iisip ko rin sila. What could be our solution, class? There are 5 of you who are doing poorly. Pag-usapan natin, what could be our possible measures? So, anong gagawin natin? Magkakaroon ba tayo ng buddy system? Okay. Or somebody will suggest, sir, siguro kailangan natin ng tutorial system. The student who is doing well will be paired with someone, another classmate who is not doing well. And then bigyan natin ng incentives na pag natulungan nila to get him out of the failing level, then meron dapat recognition, reward, consequence, positive consequence na matatanggap itong mentor or tutor or older student or student who helped that other classmate. I don't know, but really, students, you'll be surprised, can be very creative in finding solutions. Huwag mong akuin ang problema on your own. Involve the students. That's the point of the class meetings. Dapat bigyan sila ng responsibilidad, pero dapat bigyan din sila ng boses. The opportunity to get involved in looking for solutions, uh, pinpointing what is the problem, getting to the roots of problems. Kaninang umaga, some of you brought up certain problems, for example, among students. Okay, problema sa kanila yon, dapat involved din sila. Bakit hindi sila nagko-communicate? Bakit hindi sila nag-submit on time? Bakit hindi? Let's meet about it. Let's discuss it. And together, students and teacher, hanap tayo ng solusyon para sa mga problema na to. Okay, so that is very important. And then apply the same principle of responsibility and voice sa cyberbullying. Make the students involved. Paano natin a-address itong problema of cyberbullying? And you'll be surprised, for all you know, students have creative ideas kung paano nila mapapagawang ang classroom ay kind and caring. Okay, so students, giving them the responsibility, involving them in looking for solutions. Here's another way that students can get involved. Make the older ones welcome the new students, even giving them, it's very fun, it's fantastic, you know. Ginawa ko to sa Westbridge, ginawa ko to sa Southridge, ginawa ko to sa Northfield, ginawa ko to sa Bannister Academy, and we even did it sa UANP mismo rin. The older students taking charge of the orientation of the freshmen. Ang ganda ng effect because they connect in the first place, no? Mas nagko-connect sila. And besides, the best way to learn is to teach. So, tell the senior students to learn by heart the spirit of the school kasi sila ang magbibigay ng welcoming talks, orientation sa mga freshmen. This is what the school stands for. Can you imagine these things coming out of the mouth of your older students, your senior students? Sila ang nagbibigay ng talk on what our school stands for, our core values. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng ating school's mission, vision? It's fantastic. And to create even a bonding opportunity for the seniors, well, we would do it with the fourth-year high schoolers, would be spending half a day or even one full day with the freshmen. And then afternoon is friendship games of basketball and football. And then during lunch break, they eat together lunch. After lunch, there is a program. Magpe-perform ang mga students of first year, magpe-perform ang mga students of fourth year. And you create a totally different atmosphere. And the students now, the freshmen, feel they belong because they know kuyas in the older batch. It's effective. That is how we can get the students involved. The freshman transition program, the freshman orientation program. So you also have that system na older students are assigned a mentor to younger ones. Maybe not all of them are capable. Maybe hindi lahat sila may kakayanan o kaya may qualities para maging good mentor. Pero some have. And some have the eagerness to be able to do that. And so we partner them with a body that they will help. And it works. It totally creates a different atmosphere in schools. Well, maybe in your situation, medyo mahirap gawin ng ganitong klase. Pero yung buddy system of one student to one student, in some cases, we can do one class being the buddy of another class. And they have a lot of sharing of experiences, sharing of advice, sharing of concerns, and then together they solve problems they look for. Maghanap sila sama-sama ng mga solution sa problema. Well, these challenges for kindness, acts of kindness and random acts of kindness can be very effective, especially dun sa mga mga batang estudyante, no? But it's the principle here is very nice. You take a look at this, halimbawa, no? Can you imagine if you have 50 students taking up this kindness challenge, trying to accomplish as many of these? And then you're able to create, no, a class of students trying to accomplish lahat itong mga acts of kindness, and you transform the school to become a kindness zone. Okay? Just try to read as many as you can from this list. Maybe some of them perhaps even difficult to read. Anyway, you can download the PowerPoint. Those of you who are already in the Facebook page, you can look for these slides already and you can actually access it. And I have opened it so that anyone can actually, anyone with a link can actually download it. It is not a closed file in slideshare.net. Which is also because maybe, I don't know, baka iba sa inyo, wala sa Facebook, wala kayong Facebook, no problem. Pwede kayong pumunta ng slideshare.net. Okay? Slideshare.net. Tapos, sa search bar, type in Man Rentoy and then character formation slides, and you're going to see there, I think there's something like 50 sets of slides there. And one of them is ito, yung creating a kind and caring classroom. And finally, number 3 is we have to involve the parents. We have to involve the parents. Well, ito ang prinsipyo ni Saint Josemaria Escriva, that education rightfully belongs to the parents first. The primary educators of the children are the parents. But we need, in school, kailangan natin ang kanilang collaboration. We need to get them to collaborate. And here are ways to get the parents involved in our effort to create a kind and caring classroom, to combat bullying, to prevent bullying. So, unang-una, we have to communicate to the parents. We have to let them know what the school stands for, which we do through orientations, through letters to parents. Kaya, well, in all PAREF schools, halimbawa, meron silang mga newsletters for parents. And I know your schools also have. You communicate with the parents, whether through a newsletter or a memo or a every now and then letter that we send out to them. Okay. Because it's now 3:30. As a way of giving a bit of break, some people might need to go to the washroom or might need to drink water. I'm going to show this 5-minute video of Jollibee that you can take advantage if those who need to go to the washroom or whatever. Meanwhile, it's an inspiring one story from Jollibee. Sorry.
Joey anak, makinig ka mabuti. Kunin mo yung rose, tapos ikalat mo yung petal sa sahig. Lagyan mo hanggang dun sa may pinto. Yung mga lobo, dapat red. Isang dosena, ha? Chicken Joy. Puro tayo dapat ha. Huwag mong kalimutan, favorite yan ni Mama. Oh, kunin mo na yung bouquet. Hindi kumpleto pag wala yan.
Ma?
Hi, Han. Happy Valentine's Day. Sorry, wala ako dyan. Hindi na ako umabot eh. Han, sorry. Ipinili na kita kay Joey. Siya na rin ang Valentine's date mo.
Happy Valentine's Day, Ma.
Gusto ko masaya kayo. Lagi niyo isipin, mahal na mahal ko kayo.
Kain na tayo, Ma.
Okay. Sorry. So, let's move on. We are talking about how to get the parents involved, no? Kasi that's the secret of success in putting in a program that will prevent bullying or para makakreate tayo ng kind and caring classroom. Staff involvement, student involvement, and then now the third part is parents involvement. Expect parents to participate. Hindi pwedeng sosolohin natin itong problema or the task of creating a kind and caring school. Kailangan ng mga parents mismo, they take part in this whole thing. Unang-una, kasi kailangan alam nila ang programa natin. Kaya importante itong, well, whether you call it parents get together, parents orientation, or communication with the parents, no? Let them know what the school is doing in character education and how they can help. Magpadala tayo sa kanila ng mga guidelines to help parents monitor kids' online activity, especially ngayong ganito ang ating sitwasyon. And really, ang problema natin ngayon is character education, hindi natin kayang gawin as what we were doing before kasi wala pa tayong face-to-face. Well, unless if, I know Dual Tech, for example, nag-resume na kayo with some of your face-to-face activities. Pero hindi pa yan back to the usual, normal as before. No? So, we need to send guidelines sa ating mga parents. And why not? Minsan pwede tayong magbigay sa mga bata, ng mga estudyante, sa mga students natin, ng assignments na ang assignment nila will involve the participation or help of the parents. Homework that they will need to interview their parents, that their parents will get to contribute in one way or another through a discussion, through an interview, through a filling up of whatever forms, surveys, no? Okay, so I will just tackle a few of these kasi we will not be able to cover all of them anymore. I'll just cover the most important one, which is the number one. Component number 1, sabi dito sa ating outline, ito is the teacher as caregiver, model, and mentor. Ito ang ating paraan para makagawa tayo ng kind and caring classroom. That's component number 1. Caregiver, building bonds, model, mentor. Sabi nitong 6th grade boy, I was a bully before I came to this school. I used to make little kids cry. When I met Mrs. Brown, I changed. I'm not a bully anymore because Mrs. Brown taught me about character. It matters. Hindi natin minsan na-realize yung impact ng ating ginagawa as a teacher, but many times we are the ones who make the difference, who make a big difference. So, in the case of Hal Urban, he gives some of these strategies because if we are to be model, if we are to be mentor and guide for our students, kailangan kilalanin natin sila. Kailangan alam natin ang kwento nila sa buhay because lahat sila may kwento sa buhay. And here is the strategy shared by Hal Urban of a certain teacher, a 4th grade teacher, kung paano niya makikilala ang kanyang mga estudyante. He makes them fill up this questionnaire, which all of us can do. And it doesn't have to be only in grade 4. Kahit sa college students, I taught in UANP. Well, I continue teaching there. In fact, hanggang ngayon, binibigyan ako ng load every now and then. Katatapos lang namin ng School of Education, MA students on moral development of adolescents. So yun yung subject namin last December. But I also made them fill up a certain questionnaire kasi it makes a big difference kung kilala natin ang ating mga estudyante. We will make a big difference. We stand a better chance of being able to make a difference kung kilala natin sila. In high school, ganito ang mga questions na tinatanong ni Hal Urban sa kanila for him to get to know better the students. It's not easy. Ibig sabihin nito, we have to go beyond the minimum of simply coming to class, lecturing, tapos na. Well, nabasa natin kanina, for education to be effective, it has to be personal. More questions na tinatanong ni Hal Urban sa kanyang mga estudyante for him to get to know them better. Or you can come up with your own. Gawa ka ng mga sarili mong questions na gusto mong malaman tungkol sa mga estudyante mo. Pero ang importante, may effort to get to know our students better. I mentioned already yung Hal Urban strategy of handshake at the door. And the principles behind it, because that's the deepest urge inside every human being to be treated as important. Pero hindi lang, it's not enough, no, na kailangan kilala natin yung mga estudyante. The students should also know us. Why not? Kailangan alam din nila ang tungkol sa atin. What makes us happy? What makes us sad? What frustrates us? Ang ating mga, well, we don't have to talk about everything, pero it matters na kilala ng mga estudyante tayo as a person. Hindi lang as that lecturer or yung teacher na yon na ang para bang lagi lang tinuturo yung nasa libro na anyway, kaya ko ring pag-aralan on my own. For education to be personal, for education to be effective, it has to be personal. And part of this is that our students also get to know us. So, this is Hal Urban's strategy, having a teacher's corner. How he can get the students to know him better. And then, itong mga ito will contribute to creating a kind and caring classroom, creating a totally different atmosphere where there is concern That is not one way only, concern of the teacher to the students, but the students start being concerned about the teachers as well. Okay, well, I will not be able to tackle anymore the others because I hope to be able to answer questions that you may have about this topic. But just for you to know, the slide goes on to talk more about concrete things you can do to be able to accomplish or understand better the 11 other components in that 12-point program of Dr. Thomas Licona on creating a smart and good high school and being able to create a kind and caring classroom. No? And the book that I have been repeating, telling you, it's available for downloading, The Smart and Good High School of Tom Licona. Um, precisely tackles these things and discusses concrete strategies for each one of them for um, being able to put in place these 12 components. Okay, very well. So you can type your questions in the chat box if there are questions. Meanwhile, in case there are some here who were not with us this morning, um, let me just flash that on the screen. The Facebook page where you can download the materials and many other things, handouts, as well as the video, recorded video of this presentation, then please go to that Facebook page. No, let me just look for the where it is. Okay, there you go. Sorry, it's not there. Yeah, that one. Better teachers, better schools, schools of character, so that you can also catch those that you missed from the previous slides and those that we are not able to cover. You can download from this Facebook page. Okay, so there are no questions being asked. Um, with the present online learning, synchronous Zoom class, what personalized gestures can be done as alternative in the present absence of face-to-face instruction? Okay, you know, I downloaded it. In fact, I will put it up in the Facebook page, this same Facebook page, a 1 hour lecture of an expert on how you can make your Zoom class more interactive and more exciting for your students. For example, that idea of starting the class with from 1 to 5. How do you feel today? 5 being at your best, 1 being at your worst. Type in the chat box 1 to 5. You give categories, no? And then people start typing there. It's good for you to have an idea of ano ang disposition ng mga estudyante ninyo. You can even make it very concrete. 1:3 na lang. 3, you are happy to be here. 2, you are struggling to be here. 1, there are many other concerns you have. If you have a choice, you will not be here. You prefer not to be here. It's good for you to have an idea, and it also shows that you are concerned about your ang concerned ka sa disposition ng mga estudyante mo. Hindi ka lang dyan as a teacher, uh, synchronous class tayo. I expect you to be all there and no excuses. Make sure your Wi-Fi is working. And then para bang you demand it, but you know as I also know, many times beyond our control, things that are beyond our control can happen. May problema with Wi-Fi, may problema with smart, may problema with globe, may problema sa bahay. Maingay ang bahay, maingay ang mga bata. Minsan kasi ganyan, di ba? Sasabihin mo, uh, naka-off ang video mo, magpakita ka. Magpapakita ka, may magulo ang bahay o kaya may problema sa bahay. So, it's good to ask about that. Kamusta na kayo? I mean, how are you really? Be honest in your answer of 1 to 3. So, things like that. Even just that act of asking or para kang seryosong nangangamusta is already gesture of concern, of care, of kindness. And then, of course, you in a synchronous class, you can run it like classroom setup of starting with a prayer, and you can ask, for example, for your prayer for that day, we can make it as like what you do in the mass. Yung anyone has intentions that you want us to pray for, anyone has a concern that you want us to include in our prayer to begin this class, that is an act of kindness. That is an act of caring and concern. Aside from the fact that it's a way of teaching them to resort to prayer, to rely on prayer. We always did that in my religion classes in Northfield until the time I left for Sri Lanka last year, na pag mag-uumpisa ka ng klase, okay, every now and then, a Hail Mary is okay. The formula prayers of Our Father. But because in the religion class, ang purpose natin is maturuan ko sila to believe in the power of prayer and how to pray. So, ganun ang aming sometimes ang pag-umpisa namin ng class. Okay, if you have an intention you want us to include, you can tell me now, or you can say it loud, and I will say, let us pray to the Lord. Lord, hear our prayer. We include that as our intention for the day. Or kung ayaw ninyong i-announce, or you don't want it to be known by everyone, okay, you write it on a piece of paper and pass it on to me before we do our start of the day prayer or prayer to open the class. And then I will just announce it as for all the intentions written here by your classmates. Let us pray to the Lord. And then they all answer, Lord, hear our prayer. That can also be done online. But yes, I understand it's just not the same as we mentioned this morning. Kailangan talaga pag-aralan. But I promise to post that video to you because she talks about so many concrete things that you can do in Zoom. Because in fact, yung talk na yon is about how to make the most out of Zoom and how to make your classes interesting and more exciting through Zoom, using Zoom. Okay, how can we correct students without losing the atmosphere of kindness? Stay tuned for the course on better classroom management. There are many strategies na ituturo ko sa inyo without you even having to say anything, and yet you can tell John and Joey to stop talking. You can tell John and Joey you are going to be given a 5-minute detention without saying anything, but just the check mark strategy, or the stopwatch strategy, or the bell method. There are many strategies that I will share with you that precisely, ito yun eh, the reason why yung classroom management module namin is the most in demand is because lahat tayo concerned about this. I'm sure hindi lang kayo, Joel, hindi lang ikaw ang concerned about how to correct students without ever having to break rules of kindness, without ever looking like an uncaring person. That's why I put together all those strategies from Harry Wong. Many of them came from sa kanyang lecture, which introduced me to him in 1992. Ang title is Once and for All, You Can Solve That Discipline Problem by Harry K. Wong. It's a 1 hour lecture, strategy after another, one after another, on precisely doing this. How to get the students to do what you want them to do without having to resort to shouting, screaming, yelling, or getting angry or getting upset, but just using those stopwatch method, the whiteboard check mark method, which can also be done online. It can also be done online. So I'm going to tackle all those things in the session on classroom management. But let me just also add, um, please, shouting, screaming, yelling, they do not work anymore with this generation of young people. Um, it may look like it works. Kasi inside the classroom, once you shout, uy, tatahimik ang mga estudyante. But only for a short while, not for long. Um, and besides, that's strain on you. I mean, pinahihirapan mo ang sarili mo. No? Pinarurusahan mo ang sarili mo physically, unnecessarily, when there are other better ways of doing it without resorting to foul words, foul language, getting upset, shouting, screaming, and yelling. There are many ways of being able to do it. And then I will also show you reward system that will enable you to do this, correcting students without losing the atmosphere of kindness. There are strategies of being able to do that. And I think that one, I will discuss it sa classroom advisory, class advisory strategies, the reward system, or making the students compete with each other by rows. I mean, I love a classroom where rows of students are competing, trying to outdo each other in doing good, in doing the right thing. That's the trophy method that I will describe. Um, I think I should have described it this morning um, in the urgency of classroom of character formation. Anyway, so the trophy method works this way. It usually works in a classroom setup, di ba? Meron kang rows of students, and then you will announce, okay, class, this week, the row that participated the best, participated the most in the discussions, that was most orderly, aligned all the time, that did the best in the quizzes, is row number 4. Therefore, the trophy this week belongs to row number 4. Okay? The trophy there can be literally a trophy, figuratively a trophy, or just written on the board, trophy belongs to, or it can be a certificate. And it is physically put in row 4. And then you say, okay, so next week, let's see which row will have the trophy. Meaning to say which row will be participating best, most in the discussion, most orderly, row that always kept the place, the area, most clean and most orderly, most aligned. I love a classroom where students are competing against each other in doing good, in doing the right thing. So that is another way, another one of those many strategies that we can learn to correct students without ever having to lose the atmosphere of kindness, to reward, give recognition to students that will foster their desire to gusto nila to do the right thing, to do the correct thing, to actively participate, to not break any of your classroom rules, etc. Okay, Any other question we have here? It looks like there are not as many questions. Maybe we will have more questions when we talk about the classroom management and class advisory and developing grit, resilience, and empathy. Um, but all of them are all, well, I uh, promise I will minimize now principles kasi I think I've given you so many principles already. And in the next sessions, I will spend more time talking about concrete strategies na pwede ninyong magamit sa classroom ninyo, sa mga students ninyo, kahit sa online classes ninyo, so that this becomes really very useful for you. And as an output, I hope you can do your own workshop on coming up with ano ang mga concrete strategies na pwede nating ma-implement on a school-wide basis or on a level-wide basis, or what are those that we can actually start implementing in the very next class that we will have with our students, so that they become really very particular to you, very applicable to you, given your situation or your setup. And I hope all the slides that are already available there for downloading will be able to help you or will be able to guide you in coming up with good workshop outputs just among yourselves. Okay, it's almost 4 o'clock. We've been here 2 hours, and I originally promised previously 1.5 hours lang tayo. So anyway, um, tomorrow we will again resume, start at exactly 9:45. I will be online by 9:15 for those of you who want to watch some, well, inspiring videos or um, videos related to teaching. I will start playing them by 9:15, and then at 9:45 we start the session in the morning. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope it has been useful for you. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll end now the meeting in 3, 2, and see you tomorrow.